Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Shelley Hill and I am the pre-sales technical consultant at Identity Experts. Today we are talking about the challenges of remote working when we aren't necessarily set up for it. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to use the Q&A facility. We've got Alan and Matt ready to assist. All of a sudden, we are looking for ways to keep the business going from home. And whilst many people already do this daily, there are many more of us who are not set up for remote working. Now, while this might be a premature go live for organizations that have been wanting to put in place a robust and secure work from home experience, that's not necessarily going to help you right now when we're all of a sudden having to work remotely. So the point of this webinar today is about what you can do today. If you're a business owner or tasked with enabling remote working for your organization, here are our top recommendations. Firstly, set expectations early. These will be mostly impossible to enforce, so you'll just have to trust your employees to do the right thing. But it's still important to set those expectations and provide guidance for routines, including daily Teams calls, and making sure that everybody keeps communicating. You should mandate a platform for employees to collaborate and securely exchange files. So rather than having disparate practices across the business, some using WhatsApp and Box, others using Skype and Google Drive, set the expectation for how you want your staff to communicate. And if you have Microsoft Teams already, but just haven't been using it, then now is the time to get to grips with it. If you have Office 365 Business Premium or Business Essentials, you're already licensed for Teams. And Microsoft have now announced 6 months of Teams for free, so now is the time to get engaged. If you search for Microsoft Docs instructor-led training for Microsoft Teams, you will find some very useful information on getting started. Or you can join my colleague, Matt Fernandez, on Friday as he presents a webinar demonstrating how to set up Teams for your organization. Yes, it might take a little bit of your time initially, but that will enable your organization to be far more productive over the coming weeks with online collaboration and meetings. Now, for those of you that don't have corporate devices, request that device operating systems and antivirus software is up to date on any personal device that's going to be used to access any corporate data. Remember that you might need to support some employees in that process. If you have a device management solution in place, such as Intune, you could enable BYOD access, which would provide you with some level of assurance in terms of device compliance and maintaining data governance. For those employees with corporate devices, you might want to take a look at Intune and Autopilot. If an employee is relying on that corporate device to work, then something happens to that device that renders it useless, maybe spilt tea or a well-meaning, over-enthusiastic child. Then if the device is broken, with Intune and Autopilot, you can send out new devices to your end users without the need to build, maintain, and apply custom images. Now, while I'm talking about devices, something else to remember if you have Azure AD Premium and Microsoft Cloud App Security, you could also enforce browser-only access to personal Windows devices with conditional access. And you can enforce session control to block downloads. You could also use MCAS to discover shadow IT, which could potentially become more frequent as people look for workarounds in dealing with the reality of working from home. Now, if you don't currently have a solution to provide information protection, then provide very clear direction on the handling of data, including the storing, sharing, and disposal. You might have data stored on SharePoint, in Box, or stored locally on the device. Set the expectations of how that data should be handled. You might have to create a policy about not printing data at home or not putting it on USB. You need to provide that guidance to your employees around the expectations for handling corporate data. A reminder or refresher about the processes that enable you to be GDPR compliant would be really well timed. If you don't have labeling or classification, can't say that word, solution in place already, then while we're getting back some of our time from not commuting to work, take the time to have a look at Azure Information Protection. It can help you discover, classify, label, and protect sensitive information wherever it lives or travels. But it might be a good project to keep in mind over the coming months, while we're all maybe a little more self-isolated than usual. Now, if you have internal apps that you want to be made available to remote users with the need for a without the need for a complex VPN infrastructure, you can make these apps available to your users on the Azure Apps panel using Azure AD App Proxy. It's quick and easy for most apps and has a small footprint, but a big impact if you've got internal-only apps that your users need to access from home. Obviously, being identity experts, we are passionate about securing identities. So if you haven't already, enable multi-factor authentication. 80% of breaches happen because of stolen passwords. MFA stops 99% of those password-related breaches, so definitely turn on MFA. You can even pre-register users to make it a smoother process, and the Authenticator app is now free for any level of Azure AD. Those of you with Azure AD P2, if you aren't already making use of identity protection, now's the time. It allows you to automate the detection and remediation of identity-based risks. It has no impact on the user, they won't know about it, but it gives your organization better protection. And then while we're all stuck at home, it might also be time to renew your security awareness training. Fraudsters will be taking advantage of this situation we're all in, and while we're all distracted, it's easy to overlook or be taken in when we're caught unaware. There has been a spike in phishing emails about coronavirus, usually to do with pretending to be the World Health Organization with status updates. So you advise your users to watch out for those. So there are our top tips for enabling remote working. I know it's a broad range of recommendations and some relevance will depend on your organization size, investment and maturity, but hopefully it will have sparked some ideas in terms of what you can do fairly quickly to support remote working. This is a big change for many organizations and employees, and it's important to set those expectations early and trust your team. Keep the communication lines open for what's working and what's not working. And remember that people don't want to feel isolated. We mustn't forget about our mental well-being during this time. If you want more information on any of these recommendations, or if you need help configuring them, or just need guidance, please do get in touch with us. We're more than happy to help you or can connect you with an appropriate contact. Now, I don't know if there are any more questions. Alan and Matt have been responding to questions along the way. Let me just see. No, so. There don't seem to be many questions, so I think we will leave you there. Do remember to join my colleague Matt Fernandez on Friday for a lesson in configuring Teams for your business, and we'll send you a sign-up link after this. Thank you for joining us today.